Should I be a sole trader or should I have a limited company? This is a question that you're going to think about if you ever start a business in Ireland. I have been both. I've been a limited company for the past 5 years, and prior to that I was a sole trader for 3 years. I wanted to make this video for anyone thinking of making the leap and the pros and cons to both. I'll also have some fun factoids in here. I might turn this heater off. For anyone who already has a limited company, they'll probably learn some things that maybe they haven't learned before. Why do I know about these things? I am autistic, type A personality who loves details. I'm not always a laughing court jester like I am in these videos. I absolutely love the ins and outs of everything to do with business, and specifically if you're in Ireland, this video may be helpful for you. So first of all, what is a sole trader and what is a limited company? And why do accountants normally recommend start off as a sole trader, and why do I think that's actually a bad idea? Sole trader, the actual definition, I have no fucking clue. I'm going to put it up on the screen. But it essentially means you register your name for tax and you trade under your name. And most importantly, you pay your tax when tax is due in October, November time. But you do not have to pay tax during the year unless you are VAT registered. The reason why most accountants recommend this at the beginning, if you're only starting your business, is because there is nothing that you need to do other than registering for tax, and then actual taxes that you need to pay, you put off till tax season has arrived. The main downside to being a sole trader, from my experience, is that if you are not carefully putting away your cash, you will have a liability at the end of the year, having to pay a tax bill, and it may be awkward for you because you don't have a lot of the money there. When you're starting off, you might not have that discipline. In Ireland, there's certain tax brackets. So up to 13 grand in income is tax-free. Then you hit the first tax bracket of 44 grand. Anything from 13 to 44 grand is taxed at 20%. 44 grand upwards is charged at 40%. If you want to minimize your tax, you don't want to go above the higher threshold. You start getting into a territory where every euro that you earn, 40 cents of it is put away through tax. I guess you could begin to understand that as you earn more, you're just going to have a bigger tax bill. And initially when I started, I was like, well, I'm just going to invest in things to do with the business. I'm going to buy equipment, etc. What is taxable at the end of the year is the profits. You're taxed on your profits. How do you reduce your profits? You take your revenue and you minus all your business expenses. Business expenses can be like capital expenditure. In my case, that would be cameras, lighting, light stands, laptops, iPads, anything that I need to function in my business. All of these things are put against your tax. So say you make 100 grand, 40 grand of it is expenses. You take those two away, you have 60 grand left. That is taxable income. So that's one way that you can reduce your tax bill. So what are the benefits of becoming a limited company? And what are the downsides to having a limited company? There's a few downsides. One is your accountant's going to charge you more money. Why? Because there is more things associated with having a limited company. You need to submit a B1 return, which is just a piece of paper that they need to submit for you. You need to become an employee of your company. So you're going to have to submit, they're going to need to do your payroll for you. Payroll means you get a pay slip every week, every 2 weeks, or every month. In the same way, if you've ever worked a job before, you get an amount that says gross income, 500 euro, net income 420 euro, and then it automatically takes away your tax, and the net income that you're left with is what you pay to yourself, and your taxes are then direct debited out of your account each month, meaning that your taxes come out as you go when you're a limited company. And that to me is what was one of the biggest benefits for it, is that you pay your tax sustainably over the year. So the only thing, the tax that I have to pay then is 12.5% corporate tax on any profits that are left in my company from the year before, which is generally a really small amount. If you had 100 grand in profits, well, that's only 12.5 grand that you need to pay in tax. Or if you had 10 grand in profits, that's only 1,250 euro that you have to pay in tax. So I like the way that the tax is paid throughout the year. A limited company as well means that you are protected if something goes wrong with the customer. So limited companies are under limited liability. So the only thing that a customer can go after you for if something was to go wrong with a piece of work is limited to what assets are within that company, but they cannot go after you personally. If you are a sole trader, because you are registered under your person, they can go after you as a person, which means that they can go after anything that you own personally, your personal bank account, your clothes, your house. your car, anything that you own. Whereas in a company, you are protected by that entity. And I think that's something that's super important. Someone might say, geez, Thomas, that's scaremongering. Why would you do that? But things can go wrong in business. And knowing that you have that safeguard, I think, is great. With a limited company as well, you can get your pension deductions through your payslip, and payslips are things that can only occur if you have a limited company, and that's not something that you can do as a sole trader. One bonus thing that I forgot to mention is that in a calendar year, as a company, you can give yourself up to €1,500 of worth of vouchers tax-free. This can be, for example, that could be a Ryanair voucher, it could be a One for All card, it could be a Clever card, which is like a prepaid card. It's a way of getting €1,500 tax-free out of your business that you can spend personally. You just cannot give it to yourself in the form of cash. So you can't wire yourself €1,500 into your personal bank account. This is also something that's available to any employee in your business. So if you want to give your staff a Christmas bonus, for example, you could do anywhere up to €1,500, so you could give them €250 worth of a voucher, €500 worth of a voucher as a Christmas bonus that's tax-free. The point at which I would move towards a limited company is when I can pay myself around 30 grand a year in a salary. I think at that point, it's worth seeing the benefits. Up until that point, say you're only turning over 30, 40, 50 grand, and a lot of the expenditure through the company is business expenses, you're not gonna have a big tax bill at the end of it. So you turn over 50, you expense 25, you have 25 grand left. That's only a 5 grand tax bill. That shouldn't be a huge amount of tax to pay given that you've turned over 10 times that in a given year. But as you get bigger, it makes a lot of sense. No big company ever stays as a sole trader. There are solicitors, doctors potentially that are big sole traders, but if you want to have any form of company structure, I think it makes sense. If you ever want to have multiple other companies where you can create frameworks where there's a holding company and then your other companies are within it. You can do intercompany loans. You can do things that are more complicated with your business. Those are things that you cannot do as a sole trader. I made the change 5 years ago. I guess one downside is that if you do end up closing a limited company, there is a whole process involved with that of liquidating it, which would cost money. Being a sole trader is fine. You don't need to do anything. There's no ceasing that needs to be done. I hope that was helpful. Anything that I didn't say correctly, I'm going to interject so that it is correct. Let me know if you like these longer style, more informational style videos. I want to mix things up between some things that are entertaining, some things that are just vlogs, and some things that are more information based. I'm only going to speak about things that are through my own lived experience. You're going to get my opinion on them. You don't have to take it fully for gold, but I'm a big believer in transparency and just truthfulness in general. You'll get a no bullshit answer from me because this is my business. I don't have a sponsor to the channel. I kind of never have. I've always done these videos because I really liked making them. And the core thing I'm trying to do with them is be useful and helpful to the people watching. And part of that, for things that are more intense or that have more depth to them, is that I need to give you guys proper detail for you to make informed decisions yourself. And hopefully I can reduce some of the time it takes you to make these decisions by hearing it from the horse's mouth. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week.